welcome you to our annual HBCU panel discussion. We all know, especially in these days and times, that HBCUs still matter. HBCUs have a very rich history of producing the most phenomenal graduates who go on to do great things in the world and contribute to their communities. We know that HBCUs offer opportunities to students who would not get those opportunities at other institutions that we may hear more about. So in accordance with Alpha Kappa Alpha's program Target 1 HBCU for Life, we offer today's conversation to talk about the significance of HBCUs, to debunk the myths about HBCUs, and to just share experiences and answer questions about HBCUs. Now, before we start, I like to always start with thank you. So I really want to thank our HBCU for Life Committee, and particularly Ms. Katrina Roy for heading up today's events and serving as our project coordinator. I would like to thank our Vice President, Ms. Suzette Lassane, for her leadership, not only over our HBCU for Life activities, but for all of our program activities. I want to thank all of our panelists for your participation today and the audience for taking time out of your schedule on a Saturday afternoon to spend a little time in conversation with us. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our moderator for today's discussion. Mrs. Ray Warner is currently the Associate Director for Student Leadership and Engagement in the Division of Student Affairs at Clark Atlanta University. A two-time graduate of CAU in 1998 with a bachelor's in business administration with a marketing concentration, and in 2016 with a master's in community counseling, she has worked at the university for 20 years. She first served the Mighty Marching Panther Band staff, then began her work in the Office of Recruitment and Admissions until 2016. She then transitioned to her current position in the Department of Student Leadership and Engagement. While working at Clark Atlanta University, Mrs. Warner has been the primary advisor for more than 5 campus chartered organizations, more notably the Clark Atlanta University Panther Diamonds, a recruitment organization for the Department of Athletics, which she founded in 2003. Currently serving as the advisor to the CAU Orientation Guides, the CAU Spirit Boosters, and the Council of Chartered Organizations and the Freshman and Sophomore Class Councils, Mrs. Warner also volunteers her time by serving as a mentor with both the CAU Alumni Association Alumni Mentoring Program and the Women of CAU Alumni Mentoring Program. A native of Dallas, Texas, she is a spring 1996 graduate of the Sweet Alpha Pi chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and enjoys spending time with her husband, Mr. Thomas G. Warner Jr., Assistant Band Director at North Carolina A&T State University, and their 2 children, their 10-year-old son, Master Thomas Warner, and 5-year-old little Miss Reese Warner. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you my soror, my friend, and my sister, Mrs. Ray Warner.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Mrs. Audrey Brown Ward, Madam President, my friend. Thank you all so much. I am so excited to be here moderating this HBCU panel. We are going to get started very quickly not to belabor the point. I want to welcome you all again here. We're going to have a great afternoon of discussion with some great panelists, and we're so glad that you all are here. We're going to do a few housekeeping rules. So as we go through the panel discussion today, there will be questions that I will pose to our panelists. I know that there will be questions that our guests will have for our panelists, but we will ask that you all save those until the very end. And at that time, we will go through how we will have our question and answer session go. If you all can, please remember to keep your microphones on mute as we go through today's discussion. That way we can make sure that our panelists are heard very clearly. Alrighty, so we will have, during this panel discussion, we will have giveaways and prize drawings. So just remember, please, only students can participate in the prize drawing, okay? Please, if you are here with your parent, student, if you're here with your parent, we do ask that the student is allowed to answer any questions or participate in whichever game or giveaway that we're doing. Students must be present and on screen, okay? So we're asking that once we get into our drawings, we ask that you turn your screen on and that we see the student, okay? Parents or adults cannot assist your students or participate, please. Again, and we want this HBCU panel to be a learning experience for our students, and so we want them to be able to answer the questions. Students, please show your names on the Zoom screen in order to win prizes, okay? If you are logging in under your parent or guardian, which we may understand, please, if you all can change the name to your student's name, that way we will fully understand and know that that is the student that is answering the question. If you need assistance with changing the name, what you all will do at the top of your box in the Zoom, there are 3 dots, and you click down on the 3 dots and it'll say rename, okay? If a parent or adult wins the drawing, we will rerun the drawing, okay? Again, if the parent or adult wins the drawing, we will rerun the drawing. If you win a prize, please raise your hand or give a thumbs up so that we can get you your Cash App or PayPal information. So what we'll do is we'll ask in the chat, once we identify the winner, we will ask for you all to put your information in the chat, your Cash App or PayPal information. Okay. All righty. So we are ready to begin, and I would love to introduce to you our panelists for this afternoon. We're ready for the slides. So we will first start with Ms. Cameron Johnson. Ms. Cameron Johnson, if you would like to say a brief hello while we get to your bio, that would be great.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be serving as a panelist for today's event.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Cameron Johnson is a student at Howard University, class of 2021. She majors in business administration, and her fun fact, or her fact that she wants to let everybody know, is that she facilitated the first breast cancer awareness walk within the School of Business, where students walked to the Washington Monument to raise funds for the African American Breast Cancer Association. Again, Ms. Cameron Johnson. We have next Mr. Aaron Paxton Arnold. Mr. Arnold is a graduate of Florida A&M University. We have a few rattlers here. Profession, he is an entrepreneur, lifestyle expert, and coach, media correspondent, and speaker. He is a FAMU 40 Under 40 awardee. He serves as a voice for the voiceless, bridging the gap between generations, inspiring, educating, entertaining, and breaking down barriers. Mr. Paxton Arnold, would you like to say hello to the guests today?
Hello, thank you for having me, and this is a blessing to be here and share my HBCU experience.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. We have next Dr. Alana Powell. Dr. Alana Powell is a graduate of Xavier University of Louisiana. She is a divisional professional practice leader at CVS Health, and she has a passion for alleviating health disparities. Dr. Powell, please say hello to our guests today.
I just wanted to say hi and good afternoon to everyone. You guys probably can't see my t-shirt all the way, but it does say most women want to marry doctors, Xavier women become doctors. So I'm happy to speak to you guys candidly about that this afternoon. Thank you.
That is awesome. I love that, Dr. Powell. I love it. All right, next we have Miss Loretta Freeman. Miss Freeman is a graduate of Florida A&M University. I think this was a conspiracy to keep out those others, the others of us. Florida A&M University. She is an intellectual property attorney and partner at Merchant & Goulds. She has a passion for teaching and mentoring youth, volunteers with the Boys and Girls Club of America and Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. And she also volunteers as a pro bono attorney. Ms. Freeman, would you like to say hello this afternoon?
Hi everyone. I'm looking forward to the discussion.
All right, thank you, Ms. Freeman. Next, we have Nicholas Jordan. Nicholas Jordan is a graduate of Alabama State University. He is an actor and producer. He was the head drum major of the Mighty Marching Hornets, part of the Bama State Style, which is the first reality TV series centered around HBCU band life and culture. Mr. Jordan, would you like to speak to the guests this afternoon?
It's a pleasure to be here, and go Hornets.
All right, Miss Sydney Battle. Miss Sydney Battle is a graduate of Alabama State University. She's a project coordinator for WellStar and Information Technology. She is a background singer for Regina Bell Battle, Shirley Murdoch, and Dottie Peoples, and she sang the national anthem at the Atlanta Hawks game. Miss Battle, would you like to say hello this afternoon?
Hello, everyone. How are you? And I'm just excited to be back again for the second time. So I appreciate you guys for having me again. And I look forward to speaking to everyone.
All right. Last but not least, Mr. Jeffrey Thorpe. Mr. Jeffrey Thorpe is a current student at Morehouse College, class of 2023. He majors in mathematics and engineering he majors in mathematics and is an engineering dual degree. Worked for the research project at annual joint mathematics meetings. He volunteers with the iSTEM XE program to encourage elementary and middle school student interest in various STEM fields. Mr. Thorpe, would you like to say good afternoon?
Hello, greetings everyone. I'm glad I could be here and I'm excited to offer some of my insight on my HBCU experience so far.
All right, so now we have met our panelists and we are ready to begin and dive in. All right, so today we plan to debunk a few myths about HBCUs by talking to our distinguished panelists. One myth about HBCUs is that they offer very few grants or scholarships, so students who choose HBCUs amass substantial student loan debt to finance their educations. Of course, by now, everyone has probably heard about billionaire Robert F. Smith's announcement that he will pay off the student loan debt for each member of Morehouse College's class of 2019. But what about the HBCU students who do not have a billionaire picking up the tab? I want to open up our discussion by asking our panelists about the topic. So in a study conducted by Wall Street Journal in 2017, HBCU alumni have a median federal debt loan of about $29,000 at graduation, which is about 32% above graduates of other public and non-profit four-year schools. So we want to talk about financing your education, okay? So I'm going to ask this to our graduates of our HBCUs. How did you go about researching scholarships and other types of financial aid that you receive? And we can start with any panelist that would like to answer that question. Again, how did you go about researching scholarships and other types of financial aid that you received? And if our panelists can raise their hands, whoever would want to start. Nicholas Johnson, you can go ahead. You can unmute yourself for us. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. For me personally, it was a little bit easy. My dad is over the Higher Education Ministry Board at Cascade United Methodist. And my senior year of high school, he every weekend gave me a stack of applications to do for different scholarships and stuff like that. I was like, man, I don't want to do this. But it made a big world of difference when it came down to deciding where I was going to go. Aside from that, knew about different opportunities. Ultimately, for me, the thing that my parents pushed on me is get involved in extracurriculars, and band was a prominent thing in my life. My dad, my mom had both been in band at Morehouse. So that was kind of like my gateway, my avenue. And through that, I got a band scholarship. And because of that, and the band director knew me, kind of referred me to the awarded me a academic scholarship, which ultimately took care of my health. And getting involved in your community and doing extracurricular things really help when it comes time to finding those different avenues for money.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So I'll actually go to my two students. If either one of you all are on scholarship or both, or receive financial aid, what did your research look like? Either Cameron or Jeffrey.
Okay, I can take that one. Just for transparency, I do feel as though I should have been more on top of researching outside scholarships and just taking the time to apply because it's really important. Currently, I have a leadership scholarship, and so that has taken care of half of my tuition for these last couple of years. As a freshman coming into Howard, I'm currently a business management major, but coming into Howard University, I was civil engineering. So I was in the College of Engineering and Architecture, and I had received, on top of my leadership scholarship, I received an additional $5,000 scholarship. So they're pretty much merit-based, and similar to what Nicholas just said, being involved in extracurricular activities really helped with that. That helped me to receive my leadership scholarship. So I would definitely encourage everyone to really be involved, hold positions, do a lot of community service because that really contributed to funding my education.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cameron. Mr. Jeffrey, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yes, please. So, so I know for me personally, a big part of what pays for my Morehouse tuition is my academic scholarship, which I believe I received because of my my test scores, my actual formal test scores. I was involved in extracurriculars, but I feel like my main scholarship for Morehouse did come from my test scores. So I do feel like or just focusing on your SAT score and your ACT scores, I feel like that plays such a big role in how much money you get, as well as your GPA, and it just having a well-rounded extracurricular, having good extracurriculars and having a good GPA, as well as their formalized SAT and ACT scores. Just having all those together, it will definitely pay for your education. But I think one thing I really want to stress though is those SAT and ACT scores, because I feel like those really bring the money in for you. So I recommend anyone who's preparing for it to take any classes, because those are going to be the real, because whatever investment you put into those classes is you're going to get back in scholarship money. So
that is good. Thank you for that. All right, so I'm going to ask another question. Miss Sydney Battle, how much of a factor did tuition and other costs play in your decision to attend your HBCU?
Tuition was a big factor because my tuition was based on my own personal bank account. So I did things as far as getting scholarships. I went to UNCF. That's where a lot of where we get our scholarships from as far as African Americans. I also did a Thurgood Marshall scholarship, but I attended Alabama State University, and I was also part of the theater where I got a scholarship from there. And then, and also I made connections and relationships with people in the financial aid office and told them my personal story about me having to pay personally out of my own account. And they also helped me to find different scholarships and different ways to make those payments.
That's good. You did bring up a good point. HBCUs are known as a more family-oriented institutions, and so it is very helpful to be able to get to know those who are making decisions in offices. And so you were able to, Ms. Battle, you were able to use your familiarity to be able to speak with someone in the financial aid office. And, we like to help our own when we can. And so that's good that they were able to assist you with that. That's good. Let me see, Mr. Arnold, how much of a factor did tuition and other costs play in your decision to attend your HBCU?
Well, it's ironic because I literally just went through this process with my daughter, who is a freshman at FAM. And it was just, for her, it was a matter of just, going online and trying to just stay on her about, researching scholarships every single day. And she didn't get as many as I personally would want her. I'm sure her mom would want her to have, but, she did pretty well. And like the gentleman alluded to before, her test scores were really well. And, she had AP classes. She was in the IB program, did softball. So I think her ability to be diverse in what she did and just not only just be a good student, but show that, she was involved in community service and so forth, that really helped her acquire some of the scholarships that she did. As it related to me, I was just really, really, really blessed that the one scholarship I applied for that I knew about, I got. But it didn't matter what it took. I knew I was going to FAM. Once my dad took me down there for homecoming, I was sold. I tore up all my other applications. It didn't matter if it was $1 million a semester. I just knew, I'm from the south side of Chicago, and I knew I was getting away. I wanted to be in 80-degree weather in November. And, again, my dad went there too. So it wasn't a factor for me. I believe that you can't put a price on your experience. So, I feel like the experience that I got was priceless. So even if I was, like I said, $1 million or $2 million in debt from going to college, it would have been worth it. And it still has been worth it because of the people that I've met, the experience. I got to be exposed to people, everybody on this panel, I got to be exposed to people that look like me on a consistent basis from all over the world, and that were willing to support me and nurture me. And that, again, that experience is priceless. So, but I was fortunate enough to get a couple scholarships, and then I hustled my way into, I made some relationships in the financial aid office, and I was able to get in-state my second year. And so, I had it going. That was the beauty of going to an HBCU. It was not perfect, but if you hustle and you figure it out, it can work for you.
That is absolutely correct. At Clark Atlanta University, our motto is "I'll find a way or make one." And so that's exactly what a lot of us do, in school and through life. I'll find a way or make one. Thank you, Mr. Arnold. And you did mention homecoming, and a lot of us are so sad because this homecoming season has just gone right on by us. Yeah. The pandemic, some schools are doing a Zoom coming, and they're doing things online, but it's nothing like being at the tailgate or, watching the band at halftime or seeing all your folks. But, we have to do what we have to do. Thank you all. Okay, one last question. I know some of our students and parents do inquire about this question. So anybody do work study while you were in school? And if you would like to explain what it was for you and how it may have helped you, if anybody did work study, any of our panelists. Okay, Nicholas, go ahead.
Yeah, work study for me, again, I'm a very personable person. It's all about connections. The lady I worked for marched in a band and was in a theater program, just like me, years ago. And, looked out for me, essentially. And it was within the political science department, which I got my major in. And, it was all about balance. I think after my sophomore year, I knew I wanted to do work study to help out, have extra change in my pocket. Because my parents were very, while I was in school, not to work. They wanted me to focus on school. That was my job at the time. I missed those days. But, by my junior year, I did it. And it's all about balance. When you do that, you have to know your schedule. And I was between Pledge and Alpha and being head drum major in class and work. You just have to know yourself, and sometimes not be afraid of pushing your limits, see how far you can go. But with work study, it's all about balance. I wouldn't recommend it your first year. Get acclimated to the culture, stay focused on class, continue to stay grounded in the foundation that your parents have provided for you. But you know, as you start to get a better sense of who you are and your schedule and everything like that, as you progress and matriculate through the institution, I would definitely say, you know, toward the latter half, your
Uh-oh, I think we lost him. I think, uh-oh, okay, we lost him. Mr. Arnold, you wanted to add something? Uh-oh, go ahead, Nicholas.
I'll go ahead,
Do you
Nick.
want to finish out? I don't know. Okay, you're good. Okay, Mr. Arnold.
I'll say, I mean, Nicholas made a great point, especially like your freshman year, you know, just getting acclimated to the culture. But my work study came in the form of, I mean, I found out that there were ways to get checks. I mean, the internships were available. I was an SGA, so I got paid for that. I was in a student-run program, public relations program, where we had a student-run PR firm. I got paid from that. And then I had a regular job, like at a gas station and so forth. So like but on campus, like there were so many ways for a student to get paid in which you could actually get credit for an internship as well. It was just a matter of, you know, just like he said, knowing the right people and exploring everything that was out there, whether it was on campus or with the city of Tallahassee or what have you. So I probably always had like 2 or 3 jobs. It felt like, you know, every semester where I was able to generate income. So I didn't have to, I mean, you still struggled as a college student, you know, like Nicholas, I pledged. So once I pledged, all my money went to, to the Qs. But, you know, there were still so many opportunities via like, you know, just organizations on campus in which you could have that work study credit and also make some money too. So it's just about, like I said earlier, you just have to hustle and figure it out. I mean, that's the beauty of going to college, you know.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Arnold. So I did see that Miss Freeman had your hand up.
Oh, that was for the earlier question.
Okay.
I didn't have a work study.
Work study. Okay.
I did want to say though, in regard to the tuition cost, you know, it is a factor. I had a scholarship because I was majoring in engineering, and that did take, you know, had a part in my decision to going to Florida A&M University. But also, it wasn't just that; it was my career choice, and I knew that they had a good engineering program, and also I think, you know, students need to consider what other factors are important to them. Is it the size of the school? Is it the location of the school? And keep all that in mind. And at the end of the day, I think, you know, just focus on what's going to be the right move for you, and then, you know, right now, and then worry about, you know, everything else later.
Good. That's good. All right, well, that takes care of our first round of questions and discussion. We are ready for our first giveaway. Mrs. Stephanie Jones, are we ready?
I am always ready, Mrs. Warner, to give away some good prizes.
All right, then.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, here is our opportunity for our students that are in attendance to win some wonderful prizes. We are on round 1, and round 1 consists of some photos that you are seeing here. Our first question is, and I need to give you some housekeeping, so this is going to give you a little time to figure it out. Students, what will happen is you will put your answers in the chat. Whomever answers correctly and first will receive a prize. What will happen is you will need to raise your hand, as Mrs. Warner indicated earlier, via the raise your hand option. And that is by your name. And if you drop that menu down, you will see the raise your hand option. At which time, when you raise your hand, you will receive a link. You will need to fill that out. If you do not fill out the link, unfortunately, you forfeit the prize and it goes to the next student who answered the question correctly. If you do not receive the link, then just let us know in the chat. But again, we hope that you will follow the directions on that so we can capture your Cash App or PayPal information, as these are cash prizes, ladies and gentlemen. So as you see on your screen right now, this is, and I don't see anyone answering in the chat, so I'm excited to see that this is going to be a challenge. This logo is attached to what university? This logo is attached to what university? Please put your answers in the chat. And since our chat is not overflowing, Ms. Roy, will you go to the next slide only?
Mrs. Jones, we have an answer.
Okay, I'm sorry. I guess my chat may be a little bit delayed. Okay, do we have a correct answer of the university?
We do, from Savannah Hawk.
What do we have, Mrs. Lewis? Savannah Hawk, what was her?
Savannah Hawk has written tribute to Booker T. Washington, University at Tuskegee.
Wonderful, congratulations, Ms. Hawk. Savannah is correct. Here's a few tidbits about Tuskegee University that you can see on your screen. Its nickname is a Golden Tiger, so you can see a few facts about Tuskegee, the only college or university campus in the nation to be designated a National Historic Site by the U.S. Congress. As well as she mentioned earlier, it is the offspring of two American giants, and as we heard, Booker T. Washington and George Washington Carver. And a leading producer in the country of African-American engineering graduates in chemical, electrical, and mechanical engineering. So some facts about Tuskegee there. Thank you, Mrs. Lewis. Ms. Roy, we are on to the next slide. Students, get those keyboard fingers ready. I know this is going to be an easy one. I know this is going to be an easy one. Students, name that band. Name that band for us.
We have an answer. Oh, this is coming in quick by 1 minute.
Ooh.
Tyler Collins has responded with FAMU.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Tyler. Congratulations. You won. This is the Florida A&M Marching Band, the Marching 100, as they are affectionately known. And that is not, as a fun fact, their official name. That name came about because when the band was initially established, there were so many men that were going off that were being drafted that they only had 16, if I'm correct, participants in the band. So at that time, the band director set an initiative to get 100 band members into the bands. And I am seeing from one of my sorority sisters, Miss Metters, that is correct. So there's a fun fact about the Marching 100 as we know them, a fabulous band. And congratulations to those Rattlers for right now being the greatest. CAU is on its way though. CAU is on its way. Ms. Roy, thank you again. Mrs. Lewis, what's our winner's name on that one again?
On that one, that is Tyler Collins.
We have Savannah and Tyler. You will be receiving a link. Please, again, complete that link so that we can capture your information and get those prize monies to you. Ms. Roy, we're ready. We're ready. Let's get that next slide. Now it's a little delayed on okay, here we go. Students, can you name that fraternity that's represented here? Can you name that fraternity that's represented here?
We have answers, but we're not correct yet. Still waiting.
Okay.
Mr. Nicholas, you're laughing.
Okay, we have a correct answer.
Woo!
Kennedy Pierce has the complete correct answer.
And Mrs. Lewis, can you give us the answer that Kennedy put in the chat?
Kennedy put in the chat Phi Beta Sigma.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kennedy. And this Phi Beta Sigma is correct, of course, and they are part of the Divine Nine. And if anyone can name for a bonus question, the other 8 organizations that comprise what we call the Divine Nine. And those are a collective group of fraternal organizations that are part of the National Panhellenic Council. Anyone want to go for a bonus guess on all the other 8 members of the Divine Nine? How are we looking, Mrs. Lewis?
We're looking, nothing, well, hold on.
And that is John Lewis.
That is, okay, so Miracle has responded with John Lewis.
Okay.
And then I see some coming, you asked for everyone from the Divine Nine, correct?
I did.
Okay, we're still waiting.
Okay, that might be a tough one for them.
Yes.
If anyone comes close, 3, 4, 5. I see
an answer. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Elijah Lewis has 4 of the 9. Well, he has 4 of the 9.
Okay. And then I see another.
I see another one. Y'all are typing really fast for these old eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4 for Elijah. I see one, but it's not complete.
Okay.
Do we want to keep waiting?
No, we will move forward with whomever is the closest. So if you could give that name again.
Okay, so we have Savannah Hawk. Savannah has written Alpha Kappa, Delta Sigma, Zeta Phi, Kappa Alpha, and Sigma Gamma.
So is that, if I counted correctly, 6?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The one of the iota psi is not completely correct. That's iota phi.
Okay. Well.
So I'll defer to the entire committee for what we want to do with that.
Whomever has the closest.
So you went to the wrong person.
We're sorry. What, did someone say something?
Miguel Abrams may be the closest.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah. Look at Miguel Abrams. I think he had correct.
Yes. 1, 2. If you'll message me privately.
So for the sake of time, we are excited for all of you that participated in this round. Thank you very much. We have 2 more to go. So if you didn't win this one, you have some more opportunities there to answer the question on what comprises the National Panhellenic Council, which we affectionately call the Divine Nine. It is the founding members were Kappa Alpha Psi, Omega Psi Phi, Alpha Kappa Alpha, Delta Sigma Theta, and Zeta Phi Beta. The membership actually expanded to include Alpha Phi Alpha, Phi Beta Sigma, and Sigma Gamma Rho. So thank you again. I think it was Miguel, if I'm correct, that won that one. So again, thank you for the attempts from everyone else. That will end our round 1 called Anyone's Guess. Stay tuned for round 2.
All righty. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jones. All right, so let's continue on. All right, so according to an article published in the Online Education of Ebony Magazine on August 15, 2019, the most prevalent myth about HBCUs is that they are party schools. Now, while step shows and highly anticipated homecomings are a part of student life at an HBCU, the HBCU experience is also academically rigorous. Like students at any other college or university, students at HBCUs must learn to balance their academic and social lives. So let's talk to our panelists about their experiences at their respective HBCUs. A few of you all went into it a little bit as you were answering your questions, but let's talk a little bit about your academic environment. How would you describe the academic environment at your HBCU? Did your professors and your peers push you to excel academically? I'm sure the answer is yes. However, let's dive in a little bit. All right, so we have Dr. Powell.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're
So
welcome.
this is a question that definitely excites me because it's actually something I speak pretty significantly about when I'm talking about Xavier. So Xavier University of Louisiana is a very small institution. It is a historically Black college university, but there are a couple of things that make it really stand out. So one in particular is it is a Catholic institution. So there is that religious aspect there. But also I'll say for me, I knew I was going to that school before I graduated from high school. So I thought it was a really important thing that one of the panelists mentioned to make sure that you're picking a school that fits you and suits you. So knowing that it was a small school, it was relatively similar to the high school environment that I came from. So I'll let you guys know I'm a local. I went to Westlake High School. So as you guys know, that's a pretty, stand-up high school, in Southwest Atlanta. And so for me, going into Xavier University and knowing that it was a school that most individuals who chose that particular school were either pre-med students, so people that aspired to go to medical school, or people that aspired to attend the pharmacy school. So you had some very serious students that were at that particular university. So our outlook was a little bit different, I'll say, as it relates to some of the more social activities, which those things were there, and we did get to participate in those types of things. And from an instructor standpoint, that was something that I truly, really felt supported on. So from day one, and this is before you even became an admitted student, you just felt a sense of warmth there, like you felt like you belonged, right? And that people were really invested in ensuring that once you chose that school and you actually were admitted, that you actually matriculated the complete way through. So to me, that was a really big, substantial piece. You had professors who would basically, check in on you, not only from like a student perspective, but from a professional standpoint, or from a personal standpoint, I'll say. And I'll share for the panel and also for you guys on the call, a more personal thing. So as we talked about scholarships on the previous segment, I remember getting into pharmacy school, and I had, of course, a good significant amount of scholarships. And one of the scholarships, and many of you guys may not know, sometimes those get discontinued, right? And for me, I had one that got discontinued, and I was $3,000 short of what I needed for this particular semester. And I remember going and talking to the assistant dean at that point in time, which she's now the dean of the College of Pharmacy at Xavier University, and talking to her and telling her, hey, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't have that $3,000, and I don't know that I can ask my parents. I know that they don't have that. I come from a family of 4 other children, right? And so the next day, I remember getting a call, and the dean, or dean now, but assistant dean at that point in time, told me, I found the $3,000, and actually I found above that for you, and that's not something that you need to worry about. And I just had constant examples of those types of scenarios, not for just me, but for other peers that I went to school with as well, where it was, that's not what you need to worry about. And of course, being a young adult, you think, oh, this person is trying to tell me what's important to me and tell me, what I need to do. But it was in a way that meant something and that really showcased that this person was going to make sure that you made it. And so to me, it's something that I could never replace. I appreciate the fact that one of the other panelists mentioned, like, I don't know that I could put a dollar amount on that. So I will tell you guys that when I am paying my student loans, it's not something that I think like, oh my God, I got to pay these people. Like, quite frankly, like, it's something that affords me the ability to live my life as I live it and to be able to impact the people that I'm able to impact at this point in time. So I probably will never be able to pay back all of what I feel like I got from that HBCU experience.
That is great. That is awesome, Dr. Powell. Thank you for that information. Ms. Freeman, did you want to add?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Sorry, just a minute to kind of unmute myself.
No problem.
I totally agree with that. I find going to Florida A&M University for me was, it just felt like a family while I was there. You had a sense of belonging, and that was very important for me, in the classroom and outside of the classroom. I felt that way. I was able to build relationships with professors and staff, and all my peers, and you're already there, right? So you don't have to work so hard to prove yourself. You've already made it, you're there. And for me, it was more or less having that support from your peers and the staff and the professors, because they wanna see you succeed. They wanna help you through your challenges. You're gonna have challenges, but I think that the difference for me was that I felt like I didn't have to go home in order to get the support I needed. I felt like I had it there, right on campus. So it was very, very significant for me. Like I said, in and out of the classroom, feeling that they were rooting for my success. And I think that, culturally at FAMU, it builds confidence. It gives you the essential skills that you need in order to build a career, in order to take it to the next step. And for me, I think that was just phenomenal.
Good. That is amazing. I know I see a lot of the panelists nodding their head, and even some of our members of the organization nodding our heads about our HBCUs and what strong ties that we have in the academic environment and things of that nature. So I'm going to turn to our students. So Ms. Cameron, we know your major is business. Can you tell us why you chose the major and if Howard University is known for that area of study?
Okay. Like I said earlier, I came into Howard civil engineering and architecture. So that's where I was. I will say going the business route, that was never what I intended to do. I was always very passionate about construction management, architecture, real estate, all things dealing with that. So initially, I was torn between Tuskegee and Howard. And we'll get a little bit into that, but I feel as though I should have stuck with my passions. However, Howard was my dream school, and I will always tell my mom, if I'm not in DC, if I'm not at Howard, I feel like I failed. I have to get to DC. Because I just feel like Howard, it's such an experience. You're surrounded by so many like-minded individuals, similar to what the other panelists are saying, people who want to see you win. It was such a family environment, so I felt like that's where I needed to be. But Howard did not have anything with construction management, anything going the real estate aspect. So I kind of settled into a major. So I thought civil engineering would be most similar to what I wanted to do. And I realized after a year that it was not. So I found myself, I was very stressed because I was like, okay, I thought this is my purpose. I thought this is what I was supposed to do. All of my college essays, my personal statements were saying how I would own my own construction firm. I have a real estate license, all of that. And so I was really stuck not knowing what to do. And I know that Howard has a really great business school, a really great business program. And coming to Howard, I chose Howard because of the culture. So candidly, being in engineering, it wasn't for me. I would wake up, I would come to classes in sweats, messy buns. I'm in class, I'm back home doing essays and work, not having fun, not enjoying my experience. And with business, you would have people dressed up every morning in their heels and their suits, have resumes in hand. And so I was like, okay, maybe I'll play it by ear. So I went into business management because it was a pretty broad major and I knew that I could kind of just figure it out. But after choosing business management, I feel like I didn't make a mistake. I've been exposed to just a lot of different professional skills. We have a lot of different Fortune 500 companies who come in. I secured my very first internship through being in the School of Business with Boeing. So it was a challenge. I definitely had to push through and overcome a lot of obstacles, but making that decision is definitely one that I didn't regret. So.
That is great, Cameron. Thank you for all of that information. I think that's very important as a current student for all of our guests to hear the transparency that you're providing regarding your steps to get to Howard and what that looked like and what that looks like now. So let's turn to Jeffrey. Jeffrey, really quickly, if you could give us that information regarding why you chose your major.
Hello. So I am a mathematics and dual degree engineering major. So I chose mathematics as my major because I feel like just all throughout grade school, math was just always something that, I mean, it was always my favorite subject. And math for me, it served as a bridge to like, it gave me the ability to help people. So I feel like at the end of the day, I like helping people. And I was good at math. So I'm like, okay, I could use math to help people, which is also why I chose to do engineering, because I know engineers use math to help people. That's, why I chose engineering as my major. So, or mathematics is my major, and why I'm on a dual degree engineering path. So Morehouse is a liberal arts, it's a primarily liberal arts college. But they do have this thing called the dual degree engineering program, where students could come into Morehouse and they would major in either like mathematics, chemistry, biology, computer science, one of the a STEM field. And then after they complete that degree, they would transfer to one of our partnering engineering schools, and then they will go on to get whatever engineering degree that they desire. So I know for me personally, I am on the track to finish my mathematics degree at Morehouse. And then once I finish my mathematics degree at Morehouse in its entirety, I would transfer over to one of our partner engineering schools. I have my eyes set on Georgia Tech right now, but I want to plan to transfer over to Georgia Tech, or we're going to pursue either mechanical or electrical engineering. So I chose Morehouse knowing that, like, I know they're not known for their, I know they're not known for their STEM. They're not known for STEM, but with the dual degree engineering program was the main reason why I chose it, because I was under the impression, I was like, okay, I could choose Morehouse. I could get my math degree. Well, first of all, I get 2 degrees, and then I'll also get the best of both worlds. I get the HBCU experience and then the experience in the PWIs, and that just opens up so many doors in itself.
Good. Thank you, Jeffrey. All right, so let's circle back around really quickly. So at the beginning of this section, I talked about the dispelling the myths of HBCUs being party schools and things of that nature. So Mr. Arnold, would please give us your take on dispelling that myth, please.
Well, first of all, I did party while I was in FAM. So tremendously, that was a good portion of it. I went to FAM and I felt like they were one of the livest schools I had visited. So I went to school to socially blossom. But, I think the main thing for me coming out of high school was that I heard or people told me is that like HBCUs won't prepare you for the real world. And so I had friends that were African-American that went to Harvard, Dartmouth, and all those schools because they felt like that was the way to get ahead, and going to HBCU again was not going to lead them down a path of success. And it was so ironic because a lot of those same people ended up dropping out of those schools because they didn't have the support system. They didn't have the nurturing that, we received while we were there as students. And when you think about it, when you're going to college at 17 or 18, you're still a kid, you still need guidance. And so for me, academically, obviously, FAMU was sound, but it was truly the support. Like Ms. Powell mentioned, I had to go to my dean a couple of times for some classes, some issues I had, or I had the dean find me some money, or I lost one of my scholarships and the dean found me another one. That only happens, at an HBCU. And I think it's really interesting, like what's happening this summer as the Black Lives Matter movement has now been rejuvenated, and you see like a lot of athletes that are now starting to transfer over to HBCUs, because I think people are starting to understand the support. What we already knew on this panel, I think the world and everybody else is starting to see how important that is. And I just always felt like, why would I want to go to a PWI and go to my dorm room or somewhere where I had the N-word spray painted on my car? I think about that Different World episode. I had the rest of my life to deal, or as students, once you graduate, you will have to encounter racism, whether it's institutional in front of you or what have you. So why have to worry about that while you're in college? Like, you're supposed to be, fine tuning yourself, and again, partying and having a good time. And it's nothing like, socially blossoming at an HBCU. FAM taught me that as long as I got good music and a red cup, I'm gonna be all right. So I just wanted to share that, because that, I'm not gonna front. Yes, socially, you should go to a school or culturally that caters to you, both academically, but just as importantly, socially. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Arnold, for your truthful response to that we always need transparency and make it real. Tell it what it is. Tell it like it is. Ms. Freeman, you have your hand up. Did you want to add?
Yeah, the reality is college students, they're going to party at every school, so it's not just HBCUs. I think you just have to know how to balance it, right? You just can't let the experience tear you down. And I think if you can turn it on and off, if you're able to get your work done, which is the priority, right? You're there, if you're taking out loans or whatever it is, you want to make the most of your debt. You don't want to be throwing it away. So I think it's important to have that experience, but I think you just got to have the know-how to be able to turn it off and get your work done. And I think it's that balance that's important.
Okay, balance is definitely key. Thank you. And that balance actually extends after you graduate. There are so many of us who continue to be involved in organizations and things of that nature, not only just Greek letter, but other organizations, and we have to maintain that balance. So two more questions under this topic, mentioning Greek letter organizations. Who here joined a Greek letter organization, and what was that experience like? All righty, Mr. Nicholas.
Yeah, I pledged Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, fall of 2016. It was very, it was my my junior year, and I was head drum major. So fall time, you can imagine, with band practices, especially at a larger HBCU like mine, band, we practiced from 5 until like 11 at night. And it was very friend pledged with me, and he was also a co-head drum major with me. And my band director, Dr. Oliver, we went to him very skeptical. He was like, "Hey, Prof, we're gonna miss some days." And he was like, "For what, man?" And I'm like, "Well, Prof, well," and he's a Kappa. And he's like, "Prof, well, we pledged." He was like, "Well, it better be Kappa." I'm like, "Nah, Prof, it's not that." But to make a long story short, it going to Mrs. Warner, what you were discussing at balance, I had to go without some things. I couldn't socialize as much. School had to be more of a priority than maintaining a social life at that point in time. But I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, because of the fact that it not only opened up a whole nother world and level to the HBCU or just college experience in general, the networking opportunities that it brought forth, older gentlemen in the fraternity, kind of, lending a helping hand just off the strength that, you're our brother. Like, I don't have to know you from a can of paint. Brother is enough for me to help you in any endeavor that you're trying to pursue. And yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
Good. Thank you. All right, Mr. Arnold.
Yeah. So I pledged a long time ago in the spring of '98, but I pledged Omega Psi Phi Fam, and it was crazy. It was crazy. You went broke. You don't get to see your girlfriend. It's just your whole life is not yours anymore. But it definitely changes you. I feel it's what you make of it, right? And so for me, like, once I crossed and once I joined the chapter, I had several leadership roles, and like the first contract that I ever negotiated was as a 20-year-old kid, and that was for my chapter. And so it's funny because I would go on later in my career to do some of the things that I did while I was in my chapter. When you think about it, especially when you're in college, you're planning an event for like tens of thousands of students, and those skills are applicable or transferable right away when you graduate. And so it was, from a professional business vantage point, it was an amazing experience. A lot of the skills that, I was I DJ for my chapter. A lot of the things that I do now professionally, I was developing my skill set while I was in the chapter. And you know, I wouldn't I wouldn't change it for the world, but like Nicholas said, I mean, you know, it pretty much becomes your life. But it was the most, you know, my dad plays with fam too. So for me, I had an opportunity to kind of follow in his footsteps, and that definitely brought our relationship together. I'm the only child as well. So, you know, while all of my line brothers or all of my fraternity brothers aren't like my best friends, I definitely, some of my closest relationships have come out of, you know, that process and that experience. And so, and I, you know, a lot of people, you know, say, why would you do it? These organizations are elitist, or I wouldn't let anybody haze me. First of all, we don't haze, you know, but like, you know, why would you do that to begin? And so for me, the greatest asset that I developed through that process, and even while I was on the yard, was just the humility part of it. Because, you know, you're following the footsteps of hundreds or thousands of men that have come before you. And it's just a really humbling process. But also a great opportunity that you get to carry on that tradition and create your own. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's not. But, and like Nicholas said, the network, not just for the Qs, but like, you know, some of my closest friends are Kappas and Alphas. I've gotten jobs or clients from them as well. So, it, you know, just the whole Divine Nine thing is also just an awesome opportunity for you to build relationships and network too. So.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Arnold. Thank you both for giving that perspective from both of your organizations and your experience. So before we go into our second giveaway, let me ask the question. I brought it up just a little while ago. What do you think makes the HBCU homecoming experience so unique? Let me see, who have I not heard from? Who would like to take that question? We have time for maybe two of you all to answer that question. So I think we'll go ahead with an Alabama State response. Do we want to go with Alabama State first, Ms. Battle? Yes, thank you, Ms. Battle. You're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I think what makes homecoming so special for me especially is going back to see all of the people that I haven't seen in a while, seeing where, you know, they are now in life. Also, the homecoming experience is like family. It's like that backyard cookout. It's like, you know, doing those line dances. It's doing all of that all over again with the people that you went to school with and grew with and learned so many things. And, you know, and I think that's what makes it so great. It's like going to your auntie's house. You know, they're going to have food. Somebody's cooking. You got the game going on. You know, it's all of that in one. And I think that's what makes it so great.
Good. So let me hear from a couple of our students. Both of y'all should have already experienced at least one homecoming. So I know Howard homecoming is the best. AUC homecoming or Spellhouse homecoming is the best. So I'll give both of you all just a brief time to answer that question. We'll go with Cameron first.
Yes, it's actually, I'm supposed to be at tailgate right now, so it really hurt. But Howard homecoming is amazing. It's another reason why I was like, oh, I have to go to Howard, because I would always see so many things about homecoming and like the different celebrities that would come and perform. But like ultimately, I think like the students, the alum, like it's just a great experience. Just like, you know, having fun with your friends. It's an overwhelming experience too, because it's so much fun. It's so many things going on. So it really sucks that I'm not getting a chance to experience it for like senior year. But hopefully things are different next year. You know, we can try it again.
Yeah. All righty. So, Mr. Jeffrey, I do see your question, Kennedy Pierce. I do see your question. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
So, so the homecoming experience, it really is an experience. Like, I feel like homecoming, it really just shows you just how close things like really are, like just how close the HBCU environment really is. Cause I just remember being in freshman year and having our homecoming, you know, like alumni were able to walk through the dorms and able to see their old rooms and whatnot. And like the alumni was, you know, it was just really cool just having some of the alumni talk to us and whatnot. And I know like one of my dorm mates, like I know like an alumni who stayed in his room like a couple years back. He just gave him some money just because he stayed in his room. And it's just like, I don't know, I feel like, it's just like little things like that. It's like, it's a HBCU homecoming,
It's nothing like it. It's nothing like it. Mr. Arnold, I did see your hand up, and I know we had a question in the chat. Let me come back. I'll circle back around and get the question once we get to our question and answer, because I know we'll probably have a couple of people that want to answer that band question. But we're going to go to our drawing, our second giveaway prize, and then we'll come back around right before we go to our third set. So, Mrs. Jones, it's on you.
I'm back. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get those keyboard fingers ready and let's get started with round 2. Figure it out. So our first question in round 2 is 1. If you had to figure it out at an HBCU, then tell me this. There are approximately 5,300 colleges and universities in the United States. If there are only 107 HBCUs, what percentages of colleges and universities are HBCUs? What percentage of college and universities are HBCUs? There are 107 HBCUs, 5,300 colleges and universities, non-HBCUs. So how many of those what percentage of those are HBCUs?
You see the answer? I see 2 answers.
Neither of those.
Okay.
I think my chat is a little tricky today. Come on.
I see an answer. I see 2
You
answers.
let Jeffrey confirm our answer here. Our math major. Oh, it looks like we have one from Elijah Lewis. Jeffrey, are we right there with Elijah? If you can see the chat, it is. Do you see it?
Yeah, no, Elijah got it.
2%. Good. Thank you for the help, Mr. Thorpe. I appreciate it.
No problem.
It looks like Mrs. Lewis, we have Elijah Lewis, and it has been confirmed. Elijah is our winner. Elijah, please be prepared to complete the link that will be sent by Mrs. Lewis. All right, students, our next question, last one in this round for the sake of time. There are 2 HBCU medical schools. Can you name them both? We've talked a lot about undergraduate institutions. Can you name the 2 HBCU medical schools?
Oh, we have an answer.
Let's give a few more, because the first one is incorrect, TD Johnson. Great try, but looks like if you've already won, we need to give someone else an opportunity. So it's 1 win per student.
Okay. Do you see that answer, Ms. Jones?
Well, I don't see Mahari. I see Mahari.
Hadn't come in yet.
Is it me?
From Deshauna?
No. That's not right.
Kennedy, but Kennedy did Kennedy win already?
Okay, I see Kennedy Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mahari and Morehouse. Great job, Kennedy Pierce. To everyone, Thank you, Mrs. Warner.
You're welcome.
That is correct. Those 2 individuals who have won today, please complete the link so we can have your information. And Mrs. Warner, I will turn it back over to you.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Jones. All right. So we're going to circle back around. We have one more of our panelists that wanted to answer the HBCU homecoming question that is such a hot topic. Mr. Arnold, go ahead.
Yeah, I know I've been talking a lot, but I probably realized this. I've been to a lot of homecomings, mine and others, especially like Spellhouse homecoming. That's pretty live too. But I didn't realize this until probably 5 years ago. And the reason why I started to understand why homecoming was so important to a lot of people outside of used to get to kick it and see old friends is because, especially those that are like in corporate America or in environments that may not be as diverse on the regular, as a person of color, as an African American, it gives you an opportunity to kind of restore your spirit and your soul. It's like a recharger, so that you can go for the next 11 months through the year, build yourself up, build your spirit back up. Because I mean, you know, as we've seen just in 2020 alone, you know, being Black in America is just a most challenging experience, seemingly every day on some level. And so I just, going back to homecoming just really recharges you and restores your spirit. And that's when I really began to understand. I mean, I've always known how important HBCUs are and were, and how they've been important in my life, but just that, to be able to go back to somewhere where it didn't matter what happened the prior 11 months, but you're here at homecoming now, and it can literally carry you to the next, you know, 360 days, that's a special opportunity to participate. And it's funny how all those people that went to PWIs want to come to our homecomings anyway, you know, because they want to get that experience. They talk all that mess. I went, yeah, but, you know, so, and I've always felt like, you know, if you speak ill about HBCUs, don't come to our homecomings. So, you know, that's why homecomings to me are so important and so integral for African Americans. So anyway, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. I appreciate you wrapping all of the HBCU homecoming experience into one. But that is definitely correct. We all decide that for 3, 4, 5 days, it's just about those we went to school with or those we traveled the HBCU grounds with. That's our time. So that is very, very good. Thank you for that. All righty. So the last myth we will discuss is that HBCUs don't prepare graduates for the real world. We continue to hear that. And it is simply not true. I'm just saying it's just not true. Despite that myth, a 2015 poll released by Gallup and Purdue University revealed that African-American students who attended HBCUs not only reported a higher rate of postgraduate employment, but they also reported a higher level of satisfaction in how they were treated by their professors and overall confidence when entering the workforce. So let's talk about the myth that HBCUs don't prepare graduates for the real world. All right, so let's see, we'll go with Dr. Powell. How did your HBCU prepare you for success in a predominantly white workplace, and how?
Okay, so one of the things I will express is we had a great opportunity at Xavier University where a number of our professors were also like mixed, right? So it was a mixed clientele. We may have some white professors, which the majority of them were Black as well. But at the same time, it was like this whole united front from a support system. And so with that being said, they knew what the world looked like, right? And so they knew that the world was made in such a way that if these people or these students that we're going to release out are not adequately prepared, you know, they won't be accepted, they won't succeed, and we would have failed, right? And so with that being their thought process, I think they had these candid discussions with us about the fact that, hey, when you get out into the workforce, it's not going to look like this. It's not going to feel like where we presently are. And here are the things that we need to make sure that you guys are prepared for. And I mean, from day one, that was one of the things that was not only expressed to us as students, but also with our parents as part of the first day type of orientation, you being a freshman walking into the school. Hey, here's what it's going to look like, and here's why we do the things that we do. So parents, this is why it's important for you to make sure that you're asking these questions and following up with your student on these particular things. And these are the reasons why. And so for us as students, of course, we probably heard and was like, oh, you know, whatever. But for our parents, I think that was something that really alerted them to like, hey, this is a great investment for my, you know, student. And I'll say also, depending on whatever your major was, you were put with advisors who stuck with you. That advisor was somebody that you could call, who you could lean on. If you were unsure, you needed to discuss or figure something out, they were going to be that thought partner with you, and they were going to help you figure it out. So I'll say for me, I'll tell you, my whole life, like I was gung-ho, I was going to be a dermatologist. I was going to go to Howard, and then I was going to go to Meharry, right? And so that's what I thought my whole life until I went to a summer program at Xavier University. over the summer, and I fell in love with chemistry. So I got to take it before, I became a freshman and everything. And so that changed my whole mindset. So for me, going into my undergrad program, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So I did pre-med undecided. At the end of the summer, I met with my advisor and said, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Maybe it makes more sense for me to do pharmacy. It seems a lot more invested in like this whole chemistry thought process. So we made a plan. And we changed what my major was, even talked to me about how to talk to my parents about it, right? Because
very important.
You have to loop those people in, you're gonna make that drastic of a change, right? So, but to me, that was a huge thing to have that support person that was there with me, even though my parents weren't really there, and they were my advocate. Like that was my liaison for anything that needed to happen. So to me, that was a huge preparation for what I was going to go out and face like in the world. Like I said, we had these candid conversations of the fact that, hey, when you get out into the world, most people are not going to look like you. And so I'll say from a personal experience, graduating from Xavier University, going into College of Pharmacy, which is affiliated with Xavier, is a lot more diverse as far as the students. And so from a competitive standpoint, now you have white students that you're competing with, Asian students that you're competing with, all of that. So it was more of a, I guess, you know how you get goldfish and you have them in a bowl and you have to have them in that water with the bag before you release them out. So I kind of felt like it was that like a preparation before they actually really released us out. And to me, I still felt just as pushed, just as motivated to compete with the individuals that didn't look like me. And so graduating, I graduated top of my class, summa cum laude. And going into the workforce, I had already done an internship with CVS. So naturally I was offered a position back here in Atlanta. And I've worked for this company for the past 11 years. And it is a Fortune 7 company. And I'll tell you, most of the people don't look like us on this particular call, right? And I will say, and I sometimes have to remind my colleagues that I work with, my supervisors that I work with, of my background, right? And the fact that I come from a fully supported, like nested group of Black individuals, that are well educated and that can speak, to what they want, what they need, and what have you. And so I think if it wasn't for Xavier University, if it wasn't for Westlake High School, I had to give my other plugs out there. It wasn't for Camp Creek Middle School. If it wasn't for AFL Randolph, because like I'm telling you guys, I'm a Southwest Atlanta local native person, but those are things that are at my core. And just, one other thing I'll say, when I did go to Xavier, Louisiana is a little bit different from a public school system standpoint. One of the things that my teachers could not understand is, wait a minute, you went to public school when you were, in Georgia? And I'm like, yeah, I went to public school all my life. I went to school with people who look like me all the time. And that was something different for them because, again, not anything against the school system in Louisiana, but I'm just being transparent with you guys, but it's a lot different there. If you can't pay for your children to go to private school in Louisiana, their education is a little bit different. Versus the public school system there. But I really felt completely prepared. I felt very supported, and even still, those relationships are still there and maintained very, very well.
Thank you, Dr. Powell, for all of those nuggets. That is really good. I appreciate you telling your story. Mr. Arnold.
Yes. Wow, Dr. Powell, that was really dope. Thank you for sharing. Very inspired. I remember so when I started my career, I worked for like four global PR firms, and I was always the only generally Black person that worked on an account, generally the only Black male, period. But I remember my first job, I was the only African-American out of 400 people at Edelman Public Relations in Chicago. And then I was the only male in my group out of 50 white girls, basically. And they were nice girls, but they all went to like Big Ten schools and so forth. And, probably like 90% of them were like not the brightest, not the smartest. Let me just be honest with you. And it made me realize how prepared I was coming out of FAM because, they just didn't know the fundamentals of public relations, of marketing or anything. And I was like, how did they even get this job? And then I smartened up and I was like, oh, I know how they got that job because Becky knew Susie, Susie knew Rachel, and they all kind of just put each other on. and that's the game. But there's no way I would have gotten that job or that opportunity or had that kind of access if I had not been prepared at FAM. Like my first day at FAM, I remember the first thing that came out of one of my professors' mouths was internships. Like FAM was all about internships. I had 10 internships through my duration in college. You know, a lot of my friends who were African-American that went to PWIs, they came out of school with no internships because the professors or the advisors didn't care about them to tell them about, one, just you need to have internships, and then these are where the internships are. So, I mean, I think this has kind of been an ongoing theme. Just the nurturing that you get is important. I mean, how do you know what to look for if somebody doesn't put it in front of your face or tell you or care or show you give you that direction? So, and like Dr. Powell, like I come from a public school system, and you know, from the South Side of Chicago, I was fortunate enough to go to good public schools, you know, which were, you know, at least predominantly African American as well. So to go to FAM and then to go into, even though I had been around, you know, different ethnicities my whole life, you know, I had a lot of friends who were Jewish and Korean, but to go into corporate America and then just literally be the only person, and in some instances not, you know, people did not want me there. I was thankful that at least I had that training from FAM, and even not just the technical, but like the professional development, you know, how to sit up, you know, how to have your resume tight, how to, you know, when you go to a dinner, you know, what to say, what not to say. I mean, those things don't, to the students that are here, those things don't sound important, but, you know, especially because of what you look like, people are paying attention to every single thing that you do. And it's unfair, but it's the reality of it. And the beauty of it is like, you know, once you're prepared, you're prepared. You know, you could be in the most racist environment that you could think of, but if you're prepared, your preparedness will, in some respects, help you, you know, transcend through that. And then the other part is, and I don't know if we're going to touch on it, but like the level of mentors that I was able to get, not just from FAM, but just my HBCU network. There's no way I make it through my first year out of college without those mentors, because I actually was about to quit my first job simply because I don't think that my boss that hired me was racist, but the stereotype of who I was supposed to be as a Black man was definitely seated in racism. So my first review came back as Aaron is disgruntled. And that's a very powerful thing to say about a human. It's like somebody that's disgruntled is like somebody that's about to go postal or something like that. Like, you know, I think I'm a nice guy, you know, but that's how I was looked at as a Black man if I disagreed with something. And so then I fell back, and then on my next review, it said Aaron doesn't participate. And I was like, well, what do you do? And I was ready to quit, but I just had mentors that helped me accountable that came from different HBCUs, including FAM, that kind of just put me on the game. Like, look, one, you can't quit. Two, this is how you maneuver through that, because they had been through it too. And not to say that I wouldn't have other mentors if I had gone to, you know, a PWI, but I wouldn't have as many as I had, you know, especially coming out of college. You know, I was able to tap into like so many different people. So, you know, I mean, anybody that says you're not prepared coming out of an HBCU, they're just haters and they're ignorant. And, you know, just show them the stats.
That is the stats. Everything is in the data. Absolutely. Yep. That is great. That is great. Thank you, Mr. Arnold. So, you know, I just wish that we could have this panel for like 3 hours. I mean, not that long, but because you all are giving such great nuggets and I can't get to every question and every panelist, but you all are doing a great job. I'm going to ask a few more questions, and then we're going to go to our audience question and answer. But thank you all panelists for giving such great information. Parents and students that are on the line, this is just phenomenal. I'm just going to say that right now. This has just been phenomenal. Ms. Freeman, I know you had your hand up, but I kind of want to pivot a bit to ask you this, to answer this question for us. What career advice do you have for students who want to attend HBCUs? If you could give some career advice, what would you give for students who want to attend HBCUs?
Hi, yes, career advice. I think, and I'm not sure if this is what you're targeting, but I think just knowing what it is that you want to do, knowing what you're passionate about. I think allowing that to align with your skill set is important. So, and whatever it is that you want to do, just make sure that you're happy and you're good with it. And And I like what Cameron had talked about as far as changing her major once she got into school, and not feeling like she was obligated to stay down one path once she got there. For me personally, I studied chemical engineering, and right out of undergrad, I was working at 3M. You know, moved from Florida all the way up to Minnesota. Took a job with 3M, and was doing product development engineering work there. But you know, sometimes you get into a career and you realize, you know, maybe I want to do something different, and maybe I want to change paths, and that's totally fine. I think it's okay to change directions. I did that and decided that I wanted to go to law school and practice intellectual property law. So still kind of staying technical, but I wanted to then, you know, do something else that I wasn't even aware of was an option when I was getting my undergrad degree. But it was something that I learned at 3M, because everything 3M does, they're trying to protect it and file IP on it. And I got exposed to that. And I think just having that open mindset and just feeling, having, you know, knowing what it is that you want to do and feeling comfortable and making that transition to whatever it is, it's fine. You know, you don't have to get hung up with, oh, I didn't, you know, I spent all these years doing this one thing and now I want to transition to something else. I think that, you know, do whatever it is that's going to make you happy, because that's what, you know, is going to keep you there. Is that kind of what you're asking? Were you asking something?
No, that's fine. That however you wanted to answer. No, there's no right or wrong answer to your experience and what you want, what advice you would like to give. That's fine. And I'm coming to you, Nicholas. I know Dr. Powell, you had your hand up, but we haven't heard from Nicholas, Mr. Johnson. Let me ask you this question. Do you think your career opportunities or prospects were limited because you attended an HBCU? Why or why not?
No, not at all. If anything, they broaden. And the best thing I would say to the students, they're applying to colleges, or, you know, they're or whatever, give yourself room to grow. Like Ms. Powell, I went to Westlake as well, and they had us, at the time I was there, they made us pick a pathway. Like I did the health occupational students thing because I thought I wanted to be a dentist at one point, you know. But I would say give yourself room to grow, right? And it's okay not to know. You know, I went in originally as a history major, then you know, I graduated as political science. But now currently I'm in grad school at University of Southern California getting my MFA in acting, all because of a theater professor that I met at Alabama State. You know, so life is going to take you on a whole bunch of twists and turns. And that's something I learned early on, 6 degrees of separation from your husband, Mrs. Warner, when he was at Clark Atlanta. I used to go to the band camps. And he was actually trying to get me to go to North Carolina when he was transitioning. He's like, I really want you to come, man. I was like, not my cup of tea, but thank you. But you know, and you have to be okay. Like Ms. Freeman was saying, it's okay to change. You know, my dad, you know, he went to Morehouse, got his degree in psychology, early childhood education, but he does project management for a corporate moving company, you know. So I would say just it's okay not to know. Take the time to figure out. Now, what I will say for the students, do declare a major. You know, you don't want to be in school 8, 9, 10 years, you know, but it's okay not to know. And it's okay to go ahead and see something through. You know, like I was, by my junior year, I was like, okay, I know I really want to pursue acting. So let me go ahead, let me finish this political science degree because it may come in handy, which it has, because it's afforded me a lot of opportunities in my transition to acting. But I would just say ultimately allow yourself to grow, to experience different things, and just, you know, it'll be okay. It's gonna be okay.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Okay, so I know Dr. Powell, you had your hand up. Did you want to you wanted to say something very quickly to our students before we go into the question and answer?
Yeah, just one quick thing, just to piggyback on one thing that Freeman had expressed about getting just different exposure. So, and I think Nicholas has said that too throughout this particular discussion. So just want to, reiterate the point that you want to make sure that you're putting yourself out there. And sometimes what you think you may want to do may not exist. But you can create like your own reality, and you can't be afraid to do that. And I just want to make sure that just because it's not what you think in your mind and what you're passionate about may not be cookie cutter, but you may know somebody that's on some type of similar path that may already be doing something that you have some level of interest with. You can create your own internship with that particular individual. You don't have to wait for somebody to make that for you. And I just share that because that's really, really important. I think back to me in telling you guys like, hey, I thought that I wanted to be, a dermatologist while I was growing up. So my senior year, I remember talking to my guidance counselor saying, hey, I need to have a period during the day where I can go shadow this physician who I actually talked to, and she's okay with me going and shadowing her. And I remember every day I had a period of school where that's where I would go. I would go to Grady East Point Clinic, and I would shadow Dr. Janet Faison, and I got to be able to see if this is something that I really wanted to be able to do before I even got to college. Yes, I was already accepted into college, and I was a high school student, but I wanted to have a little bit more insight before I got into doing that. And I think the reason that I'm sharing that with you guys is because it's important to at least have some type of idea of where you're going and what you're really interested in. Because when you have that, you're able to quickly maneuver and turn and dip and, move as you need to versus when you haven't really gotten started. And so it's just really important because, again, to Nicholas's point, life is going to take you through twists and turns, and you got to be okay and be confident in those twists and turns. And to me, I've always felt like as long as I got a plan, it's going to be okay. If I can plan it, I can do it. And so I just share that for you guys on the call today.
Thank you, Dr. Power. Appreciate you adding that in. Thank you for sharing. All right, so it is now time for our question and answer segment. During this segment, you all are able to, thank you, panelists, for answering all of those questions and for being here and sharing out. We want our parents and guests and our students to be able to ask questions. If you all would like to ask your question verbally, please raise your hand. And also we would like to see your face if that is possible when you ask your question verbally. If you prefer not to ask your question verbally, we ask that you do put it in the chat. So we will go from, verbal questions to the chat questions as we move through. We'll have probably about 5 to 6 minutes or so, 5 to 7 minutes for questions that come. So I know the first question, let's go back to the first question that came through. Kennedy Pierce said, can someone speak to the band experience at homecoming? So I think I'll first go to our band alum, head drum major, Mr. Nicholas Johnson, to talk about band at homecoming.
ASU. Man, it's nothing. It's nothing like it. And for us specifically at ASU is really interesting, which threw me off because for my homecoming experience, it's on Thanksgiving, Turkey Day Classic in Montgomery, Alabama, and it was so foreign to me. Like when I first got there, I was like, "This is god awful. Who wants to be at a football game on Thanksgiving? I want to be home with my family in Atlanta, eating some good fried chicken, sitting at the table, all that good stuff." But I soon realized and understood what the culture was about in Montgomery when it came to Turkey Day Classic. And it's nothing like it waking up that cold morning. We have the parade and marching into the stadium and everything. And it's no greater feeling, and for me personally, even though that's technically our homecoming, we have this thing called Magic City Classic, which occurs in Birmingham, Alabama, which is the largest HBCU classic in the nation. About 90,000 people come every year. And to march in the stadium, and at one point in time, all eyes on you at halftime, and everything like that. It's just an air of excitement. You have kids that want to come up, old people want to take pictures with you and stuff like that. You get to talk to high school students all the time, and they say, oh, how I'm inspired. I want to be like you. I want to do this. And I say, hey, do this, then the third, get good grades, all that good stuff. But yeah, the band is where it's at, and especially if anybody in here that's ever been in a band in high school or college, the fifth quarter battle, after the football game is over, is where it's at. And it's just, for me, it brought to the HBCU experience. It wasn't, I was just going to the football game. I mean, it's great, it's cool, as alumni, it's great. But to have that, that a lot of people don't get afforded the opportunity to share in, is a beautiful thing. Just want to go to your husband, enjoy the moment, enjoy it, because it one day it's not going to be there anymore. So enjoy it to the fullest while you're there. Soak everything in. So that's my little spiel on that.
Thank you, Nicholas. All righty. Anyone else want to go in with the band experience? I will say, just if I can take a personal point of privilege, as a band wife, it's a huge undertaking that goes probably for the whole entire month leading up to homecoming. Working on the halftime show, working on the parade. There's always a parade, but the students enjoy it. And then the band alumni enjoy it coming back. And to see, and I'm going to speak more so about North Carolina A&T, because that is where we currently band director. The alumni come back, and it's just a whole, the greatest homecoming on earth, GHO. That's a whole experience. And so all of the alumni come back and they play alumni band, the alumni cheerleaders. It's just a whole experience. And, I think as for my children, my husband and I are both HBCU, everything. And so they will begin to learn to grow up and go to Turkey Day Classic and Magic City Classic and, other classics outside of our own football programs, just because we want to encourage them to attend, but also allow them to see the culture of what it is to be an HBCU student, parent, alumni, things of that nature. So that's just kind of my little plug. All righty. All right, so questions. Let's go to the questions, parents, students. While we wait on questions, if we had any other, our panelists have anything else that they wanted to add really quickly. Cameron, Jeffrey, if you all wanted to add anything else while we're waiting on questions, and we may not have questions because most of you all talked a lot about your experiences and answered the questions, which is fine. Anybody?
I don't know. I see someone Elijah asked me, I guess, to describe the student life and atmosphere at Howard. So I will say, like I said earlier, from the first time I stepped on Howard's campus, I knew that's where I wanted to be. And I know it sounds cliche because people are like, once I stepped on campus, I knew this is where I had to be. It was just like the family feel. And I personally, I'm a very shy person. I'm very reserved, and it takes a lot for me to, really come out of my shell. So freshman year, I know being 10 hours from home, not really having many friends, not knowing what I wanted to get involved in, it was really difficult. But just being surrounded by so many like-minded Black individuals, people like myself, I had a lot of friends who really pushed me and motivated me to get involved in things. So I guess I got involved in Freshman Leadership Academy, and that's what really started, I think, my personal Howard community. That was my first group of friends, my first family. And from there, I just really got to see what it was like to have a group of supportive Black individuals. There are so many talented people on Howard's campus. There's so many different organizations to get involved in. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Alpha Chapter, and that really brought about a really great sisterhood. And Howard is it's alpha chapter to so many of the Divine Nine organizations. So even that aspect of Greek life, it's just always so exciting on Howard's campus. So like that aspect of student life, it was really great, and it's really cool to experience. And then Howard in itself is such an experience because you have so many prominent leaders, so many prominent alum that always come back and are pouring into Howard and making the experience really cool for students. But overall, I love Howard. It's always so many different things going on. So if this is a school that you are considering, Elijah, I would go ahead and apply. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Thank you, Cameron, and thank you, Elijah, for the question. Jeffrey, did you want to add anything?
Yes, I did. So I know definitely one thing I feel I can speak to is that, like, of course, like just being at Morehouse, like the love I feel, like I have so much love for Morehouse, and especially the mathematics department. Like I know earlier, I forget who was talking about it, but they're talking about like the importance of like just internships and whatnot. And I know like just like I said, since with Morehouse being liberal arts college, the mathematics department is kind of small. So they really nurture the math majors and really like look out and care for us. So of course they do that for all other majors, but I can only speak to being a math major, my experience. But like just for example, the head of the math department, Dr. Cooper, like I know he sent the summer before the end of freshman year, he sent all of us math majors to our personal emails a bunch of opportunities for us to apply to. And like I know I'm pretty sure all the freshman math majors had some sort of research experience or internship opportunity that freshman summer or the summer after freshman year. And I know one thing, like I feel one thing I heard a lot, especially freshman year, is like, oh, freshmen don't get research experience or freshmen don't get internships or woo. But like just the math department really looked out for us. And I feel like and that love is definitely extended all around campus. So I feel like that's just one thing. I really have so much love for Morehouse and the mathematics department because I feel like it's genuine care. It's genuine care. And I feel like that's something, that's something I'm so appreciative for. And once after I graduate and whatnot, I look forward to, giving back to the future math majors at Morehouse just because I have to. I got to pay it forward because they put so much into me, so I want to put more into them. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jeffrey. I appreciate that. All right. So I don't see any more questions in the chat. I do see a comment that says HBCUs produce families and friends for life, and HBCU culture is second to none. All right. So I think we're finished with our question and answer portion. So that means it's time now for our evaluations with Ms. Lewis.
All right, so this evaluation will take place in 2 parts. We'll invite everyone to complete the first part of the evaluation, and then we'll have a second part. It won't take long at all, just a few questions, okay? Okay, we'll just give it a few more minutes for the first part. Got 64% of you all have completed. We'll give everyone about 30 more seconds to complete, and then we'll move on to the second part. Okay. And here we go, just a little bit more. Thank you all for your time and participation in this discussion, and most importantly, the evaluation.
So Shannon misused car decided to go undercover. Remember, if you don't see me, you're not seeing the most accurate price. Shop at Carfax. You won't have to overpay on a used car again. Shop millions of great deals at the all-new Carfax.com. We have the ACC.
Ms. Roy, is that, or do we have something else, or are we at the end of the program?
She had the second evaluation, and then after that, we have one more giveaway.
Okay, the results are coming on in. We'll give everyone about another minute and we'll be good to go. I'll turn it back over to Mrs. Warner. Thank you all for your participation in the polls. I will close it now.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Lewis. All right, so we are on to you, Mrs. Jones, for our prizes.
All right, I'm back. I'm so back and I'm so ready. So for the sake of time, we are going to turn to Ms. Roy. We have a drawing. So students, this is open to everyone. So even if you've already won a prize, if your name is called in this instance, you are a winner of our big drawing. So what's our drawing worth? That's my own drum roll. It is $50. So we have wheel of names. All of your names have been placed on the drum wheel. And Ms. Roy, if you will do the honors and spin that wheel. Oh, where will it land? Oh, where will it land? You do have to be present to win. Is Tangela Richardson with us? Tangela. Going once, going twice. Please spin again. We're looking for 2 winners this afternoon. You have to be present to win. If you notice all the names in the win, those are all of the student registrants. And evidently some of our sorority sisters. So we're going to spin again. And for the sake of time, if we don't get it this time, we'll spin it behind the scenes and we will announce it at the very end so that we can have ample time for our closing remarks from our Vice President. Is Mokita Brantley present? Mokita Brantley. All right, we are going to turn it back over and do this behind the scenes, and we will announce our winners at the very end. Thank you for playing, and thank you for all the participation in our earlier rounds. Mrs.
All right,
Warner.
thank you, Mrs. Jones. We appreciate it. All right, so now we will have closing remarks by our Vice President of Tau Epsilon Omega Chapter, Mrs. Suzette Lassane.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Warner. Let me just say, I don't know about anyone else, but today was awesome. Thank you so much, first and foremost, to the members of Tau Epsilon Omega for having the vision to put together this very thoughtful and insightful program. Thank you so much to Ms. Roy, I see her on camera there, for all of your help in coordinating this. Ms. Roy, as well as Ms. Joanne Fuller, they are the chairman for this target around HBCU and the awareness that we want to create for HBCU. So fantastic job for the program that you've put on. To our distinguished panelists, let me just say thank you for bringing all your energy, all of your thoughts. I think it's so important when we have conversations about HBCU that we tell it all. We tell about the academics, we tell about the experience on the yard, we tell about the social, the band and everything else, and you guys did not hold back. So let me just thank you for sharing it all. And we told about Greek life too, which is an important part of the HBCU experience. It's not the necessary part, but it's an important part of that experience as well. So I can only thank you enough for all that you brought today and the energy. Thank you to our attendees for your questions and your engagement. To the winners, congratulations. I would like to share with the panelists that we have, in thanking you for your support and your engagement today, we will be sending you a token of appreciation and love from the Tau Epsilon Omega chapter. So we ask that you accept that in love on today. But again, I will not delay. We do have our foundation, and I believe Ms. Roy, someone will be sharing that information on the foundation links in the chat. If you can share that information, but we do a lot of activities in the community of East Point College Park. We do a lot of programs and events. So definitely follow us and make sure that you are sharing the information with others. We hope that we're helping the community. We also are, we accept donations from family and friends and in community participants as well. It allows us to do the things that we're doing today. So hopefully someone will share that in, but I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And let me end by saying, go Rattlers. But no, thank you to all the HBCU represented. I love seeing the colors. I love seeing the energy. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for the opportunity for this event right here. So have a great day. I think I see the information being shared on supporting the foundation. Thank you so much, Mrs. Roy.
You're welcome, Mrs. Lassane. We do have 2 winners for the drawing.
Yay.
The first one was Zamaria. I believe, is she still on? Zamaria W.
I see she's on.
Okay, Zamaria, you just won the raffle drawing. Can you let us know you're still here? We can't hear you.
She needs
Okay,
to complete the link. She needs to complete the link, Ms. Roy.
okay, we do need you to complete the link. And then the last one is Kayla Christian. Kayla Christian.
I'm here.
Yay! Can you come on camera? Yay! All right. Congratulations.
My cousin.
All right. We are going to contact you privately, and you'll need to complete a link with all of your information so that we can get your gift to you, okay? All right, Mrs. Brown Ward, did you have any additional words you would like to share with us before we close? You're on mute.
You are still muted.
I do not. I just want to reiterate everything that Ms. Lassane said. And for those of our guests who are 21 and over, would just like to encourage you to attend our wine tasting event with Ken Ford on November 14th. I dropped the link in the chat for the purchase of tickets, and we would love to have you join us on November 14th. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
All right, with that, we thank you all so much. Everyone have a great afternoon, and we hope to see you all soon. Thank you.
Bye, Soros. Great job.
Thank you for coming.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. Bye-bye.
Fantastic, Soros. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Awesome.
Great job, T.O. T.O.
Enjoy.
Hey, hey, Cynthia. See you. Do I have everyone's information? Autumn. Mrs. Lewis, do I have everyone's information?
Stephanie, we still have some guests here, I think.
Yes, let me, I'm going to stop the recording now. Is that okay?
No.